This is the Ready Set Podcast, and here's your host, me, Joe Persinger.
Hey, how was your weekend, Bucks? Got one hell of a show for you this week. Lots going on in Washington, and I can't wait to crack that egg wide open in the staff report. Speaking of chickens, this week we're going to discuss a high school student who unleashes pepper spray to disrupt a Turning Point USA event. Then A-Rod gets caught taking a shit in his penthouse. And we've got an asteroid and another Cook County update. All this and more on this week's episode of Ready, Set Podcast, episode number 11. This is your one-stop shop current events and politics podcast. If society's a joke, then we're just here for the first set. Are you
Ready, Set, Podcast!
All right. So we got another asteroid issue that has been warning. So around 7 p.m. on Saturday, an unnamed asteroid about a mile wide skimmed our planet at a very close 3.2 million miles. Don't worry, we won't see anything like this asteroid until about 2036, when this binary asteroid buzzes the planet again. Pretty sure Pelosi will still be speaker by then, too. More on Crazy Nancy and President Donald Trump later here on the podcast. Let me turn that down a smidge. So we got an update on Cook County. We've been following this shit show dumpster fire known as the Cook County Prosecutor's Office. First, Kim Foxx lets Jesse Smollett walk because he's more crooked than, she's more crooked than an Obama-Clinton mulatto child brought up in a D.C. bubble with a wealth, privacy, and rich boy privilege that none of us will ever understand or comprehend. Jesus, where was I? Oh, so there was a shooting a few weeks ago at the Argyle stop on in the Red Line in Chicago. This would be on the north side near the lake. A few stops north of Wrigley Field. Apparently, a 14-year-old shoots two men. One was critically injured. The other denied any medical assistance, which is usually a sign of a poor person who makes relatively bad decisions consistently. The 14-year-old was released to his parents without any electronic monitoring device and has over 16 arrests to the state. And apparently this peeved former mayor, Rahm Emanuel, who was the mayor at the time. He says, quote, "He has more arrests than he has years," continues on to say. "I want to talk about the rest of the criminal justice system. Who put a 14-year-old back on the streets without an electronic monitor?" Unquote. Well, I can answer that, Rahm Emanuel, and that would be a racist named Kim Foxx. That's the type ship she's running up there in Chicago. I mean, if she was a pirate captain sailing in the Caribbean, her crew would have fed her to the sharks, or at least turned her into smoked sausage. A judge this week unsealed the case file that was covered up by this horrendous excuse of a prosecutor because Jesse Smollett talked to the media after his charges were dismissed he said when Jesse Smollett had his charges dismissed against him, he voluntarily waived his right to privacy by having this press conference. Well, it's about time someone starts moving things in the right direction.
Okay, apologize for those mic problems there. Having a little technical issue, and I just fucking figured it out. Yay for me. Okay. Where the hell was I? Oh, yeah, Chicago and that dumpster fire. Well, ay. Speaking of crap and dumpster fires, has anyone heard what happened to A-Rod this week? So A-Rod's penthouse bathroom apparently faces a few hedge fund offices. I guess he was taking a dump and someone across the way or right next to the apartment, either way, he had his blinds open and was taking a shit. And someone took a picture. Eventually, this picture ended up on Twitter, and now someone has to pay. Well, I guess you're wondering how that happened. So, my guess here, and I think what I was reading was that someone was looking over. Hey, that's A-Rod taking a shit with the curtains open. Take out your cell phone, let it look at you. You aim. Make sure you got that flash on, and now I got a picture of A-Rod taking a dump. I'm going to text that to my friend. He texted to his friend, put that in my group text. Then some dumbass puts it on Twitter. and then everyone sees it. So, what we know, there's going to be lawyers. There's going to be a PR team. And no word yet if J-Lo has taken a shit in that bathroom. Not like you're going to have to look too far to find a picture of her ass on the internet. All right, so what else we got here? Fake news. NBC Sports is reporting that the Angels blocked the Dodgers' attempt to put a minor league team that would have been inside the Los Angeles Angels territory. Of course, prefacing this by saying, quote, MLB's antiquated and dumb territorial rights. Excuse me. First off, I need the facts, not your dumb leftist opinion. So here we have, let's see, what's the name of this person that wrote this article? Craig Calcaterra. Oh, I did not say that right. Calcaterra. Yeah, sure. So he basically, starts it off by saying, hey, there's an interesting story in the Los Angeles Times. You should go read it. And he says that twice. Interesting. And basically he just kind of tells a story of what was going on and that they wanted to put this minor league team in there, how this would be like so fucking cool. Obviously, this guy lives in Los Angeles, and he kind of laments that the Angels blocked the move. And then this is where he kind of prefaces the article with the MLB's antiquated and dumb territorial rights. Look, pal, I get it. The Dodgers having a single A team in the Los Angeles areas, it would be pretty cool. But your job here, if you want to write about that aspect of it, get a fucking blog or a podcast even. But you're going to mix your opinion into your news here. It becomes a little hard to understand what the fuck I'm reading. So anyway, this asshole then has the audacity to finish the article with a gratuitous socialist rant that would make Upton Sinclair want to take a shit. This anti-capitalist fuck finishes his news piece with his opinion, and I'm going to read the last paragraph on it here. It's unlikely to ever happen, though, because the genius capitalists of the Major League Baseball ownership class seem to value nothing more than their governmentally granted monopolies and all of the corporate welfare that monopoly power has enabled them to extract over the years. Jesus Christ, man. I mean, I understand what you're saying, but to have the anti-capitalist sentiment in it, like, I don't even think this is about news anymore. It's just about click here and read my anti-capitalist socialist rant. Upton Sinclair, motherfucker wannabe. Fake NBC News still at it again, reporting in LA that a suspect chucked a surveying tripod from an overpass onto a highway, impaling a veteran who was just picked up from the Sacramento airport. His lung was impaled and he broke some ribs. I chucked an apple at a car once. No one was injured. But now apple cars might be a thing? Anyway, they ended up finding this stupid fuck after watching him steal the tripod from a surveillance video. They found him. He fled. They kicked his ass. He was arrested. Here's what I find interesting. The article IDs the man as a transient. So he's homeless? I mean, why dance around it? We all know there's a problem in the city run by a bunch of leftists, revisionists. Perfect example of why the fake news media is the enemy against the people. They're like that drunk guy at the end of the bar eating peanuts, yelling at the TV, throwing his foam brick at it. Wait, did he bring that to the bar? And explaining why the you go low, we go high strategy is going to take down the Trump campaign. I really have no segues here between these stories, so I apologize because this is rapid fire. I got a lightning round coming, but this almost feels like one. All right, plowing ahead here. So we got a snowflake in Utah, and I'm not talking about the weather. I'm talking about the under 18 population. Oh, excuse me, under 28. Then that's honestly, it's almost under 30 these days. Anyway, a snowflake in Utah unleashed pepper spray into his auditorium to prevent the school's Turning Point USA student group from hosting an event. This leftist soy boy told Judge Elizabeth Knight, that's a cool name. You know, if I had the last name Knight and I was a judge, I'd have a saying. Something like, "Welcome to this courtroom, sir. You better get used to all these bright lights. I'm Judge fucking Knight." Yeah, something like that. I'm sure I could rework that into something a little bit cooler. Something like, yes, these lights might be bright in this courtroom, but now Judge Knight is here. Ah, it sounds good in my head. I just can't get it out right. Anyway, he tells her that soy boy, leftist, revisionist, Utah snowflake, tells her that he released the chemicals because he felt this event wouldn't be a safe space. Okay. Judge Knight told the leftist he was shutting down speech and needed to find less harmful means of protest. Maybe he can... God damn this fucking computer. Where was I here? All right. I had some really good momentum going. All right. Judge Knight told the leftist he was shutting down speech and needed to find less harmful means of protest. Maybe he can start by cutting down on the video games and porn? Just a thought. He was sentenced to 100 hours of community service and a letter of apology to the school resource officer, who was the first on the scene. Poor bastard. Guy's just trying to get through his fucking career, and this wannabe Chinese fuck makes him run into a pepper spray bomb. Well, I mean, not really. It's a room full of pepper spray. He also has to pay the school restitution and the copay for the individual who had to be hospitalized. I mean, what a softy sentence. I blew up mailboxes and had the book thrown at me. This guy gets slapped on the wrist and then served a few smoothies with a punch card where his fifth smoothie is free? What a crock of shit. Go fuck yourself. I will say that name is still cool, Judge Elizabeth Knight. But you could have fucking thrown the book at this guy. 100 hours of community service. She must know his lawyer. That's all I got to say to that. Those lawyers, those judges, they all work together. And trust me, I know. There is a representative of Illinois named Mike Quigley, who used to be a Cook County commissioner, and he represented me in that, mailbox thing I kind of just mentioned. And he said, I quote, "If this happened in Cook County, I could have really made it go away." This guy is a U.S. representative representing a district federally in Illinois, and he said that to me. A lot of crazy shit going on in our world today. Every week almost. I would even say just this week, not even today. So here we got a New Jersey man who allegedly urinated on a cancer victim's memorial is fired by dad from family business. It's a drunk 23-year-old. Calm the fuck down. I mean, I hope he gets the help that he needs, says the dad, after he lamented that he wanted to severely hurt the person in the video who did this to his son's memorial. It's a very justifiable, understandable position. But again, it's a drunk 23-year-old. This person is 5 years removed from high school. 1 year from college, if he even graduated. Again, his priorities are getting drunk and hopefully going to work. And with this generation, it's probably not the second part. He's probably just getting drunk. Actually, he does have a job because he works for his dad, as we've noted already. But I'm just saying. Anyway. Gah. Now, I'm not going to sit here and say pissing on a 9-year-old dead kid memorial is acceptable behavior. However, threatening someone, even from an emotionally understandable state of mind, only says to me that the dead kid's dad needs some anger management, and the kid who urinated needs a better friend. I mean, this guy filmed him. What a fucking dick. And hopefully he has better judgment, as his mind has been marinating in alcohol anyway, his mind will probably be marinating in alcohol for the rest of his 20s. So let's hope he is even capable of making a good decision or two. I know it took me a few years. A little longer past my 20s. I don't even know what I'm saying anymore. Anyway, moving on. There are no winners in this story. Just a drunk, an angry ex-police officer, and the idiot friend who filmed this and posted it on the internet. Oh yeah. And the morons that decided to walk over there and clean it up. It's urine. It's not Ebola. No winners. Just a bunch of working class annoying Yankee fucks freaking out over a drunk 23-year-old taking a piss because his friend filmed it and then put it on the internet. Some people need a life. All right, so then in Illinois, the Illinois Zoo had to put down a flamingo after a child threw a rock at it. And apparently they decided to use this as a teachable moment for the kid who chucked the piece of earth at the pink bird. A teachable moment. The kid just committed manslaughter. And I think there's only one way to approach this. Actually, there's two. And here I'm going to give them to you. For 1 week, this little fucker should live outside in a fluffy pink tutu with pink plastic feathers duct taped to it, or pink duct tape fashioned as feathers, either way. As he stands on one leg next to a pond or a creek, living on algae and crustaceans. Every so often, while this little fuck is just chilling on one leg, "Hey, Mom, I got it. Look, I can do it." You sweep the leg. Johnny Lawrence style.
Sweep the leg. You have a problem with that? No, Sensei.
And then there's the other, the number 2, which is obviously very simple. It's, not as sadistic as kicking the kid off of his leg, but you just put him in the gayest pink flamingo tutu you can find. And then you just sit there and chuck rocks at him. I mean, or you could have put on the soft gloves, talk to him like an adult, which he is not, mind you. Let him give you lip service, and you can say, "Now, Greg, how does it make you feel when..." I can't imagine the kid standing there thinking, "I'm going to get away with this? They just want to talk to me?" Excellent. Fast forward a few years later, the kid is vaping in the bathroom with his loser goth friends. He's dyed his hair is black. He's wearing black pants and a black shirt with a spiked choke chain. I guess he identifies as a bulldog now. By his sophomore year, he's ripping bongs. His grades are slipping. You try and approach the kid about it, but he's softer than a Downy Fresh towel and folds so fast, folders are now called Gregs. Every so often, he throws that flamingo incident back in your face, but then he gets over it. Slowly and slowly, he's coming back from the goth abyss. Now he's wearing normal clothing that makes your wife want to go into public and not feel like her son is going to rape her. He gets a tattoo here, gets a tattoo there, and for some reason your wife is okay with the trashification of your son, but you pick your battles. Now the kid is a walking art studio. Starts talking like he's from the ghetto all of a sudden and wants to move to the south side and join a gang, which is really just a glorified flamingo dancing club called the Flamingos. Life is an ironic bitch wrapped in a conundrum in the same way a condom covers a penis. Let that sink in. Hopefully it makes sense. Well, if you're a Disney fan, you probably noticed that the Aladdin movie has come out this weekend. Well, the reviews are in. The live-action Aladdin movie is in theaters now. I can already tell you how bad this movie is going to be. And if you're a straight white male, this movie has definitely not been made for you. Even though it was directed by a straight white male who used to be married to Madonna and directed the movie Snatch. I love that word. Snatch. 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 Just like how snatch. Anyway, The Hollywood Reporter, a leftist scandal rag created in the 30s to oust communism, to oust communism in Hollywood. Clearly that mission has failed, but I digress. Now just let me read the first paragraph of this review. Go see it, don't. But this movie has a revisionist leftism written all over it, literally. All right, here we go. Disney has certainly covered all the bases with the live-action remake of its 1992 animated classic. Decades ago, this film musical probably would have featured white actors like Tab Hunter and Natalie Wood wearing heavy dark makeup. That approach obviously wouldn't go over well these days, so the ensemble in this version, directed by Guy Ritchie, features lead performers of Egyptian, South Asian, Dutch, Tunisian, Iranian, and African American descent. The combination of diverse casting and female empowerment themes results in a perfectly politically correct Aladdin for these times. The only thing that seems to have been left out is the magic, which is a bit of a problem considering that one of the main characters is a genie. I mean, towards the end there, I guess, whatever, but this just reeks of leftist identity politics. I don't care. I just want to watch a movie. Can they act? Cool. Who gives a fuck what their skin color is? Moving on. All right, you know what that means? It's time for the lightning round. It's going to be quick. All right, so we got Kim K has a beef with Jack in the Box, but she's too chicken to say what it is. The Cobra Kai creators ink a deal with Sony Pictures TV to launch a production company. Now all the diehard snowflake nerd fans think the writing on the series is going to suffer. Not only should you go fuck yourself, but you're a communist. All right, that was fun. Okay, let's get to the staff report. We're going to D.C. this week, you fucks.
In my hand, I hold the staff report.
Over the last 5 days, we've been witnessing what I would call high school in wheelchairs in a geriatric community, or what some would call another week in the Beltway, also known as the Swamp, and Washington, D.C. On Wednesday, the next Tuesday's special speaker was taking a meeting with her rabid, radical Democrat Party to discuss strategy and maybe impeachment. Before Pelosi goes to the White House to talk infrastructure, she mumbles this.
We believe that no one is above the law, including the President of the United States, and we believe that the President of the United States is engaged in a cover-up. A
cover-up. She accuses the President of the United States of a cover-up. The Speaker of the House in the Democrat Party, the same party that accused Donald Trump of collusion, no collusion, obstruction of justice, no obstruction. And they're going to sit here and say that he is in the midst of a cover-up? Well, as Nancy trotted her way over to the White House, Trump put the kibosh on that meeting pretty quick, walked out to the Rose Garden, and said this.
That Nancy Pelosi, just before our meeting, made a statement that we believe that the President of the United States is engaged in a cover-up. Well, it turns out I'm the most, and I think most of you would agree to this, I'm the most transparent president probably in the history of this country.
And that's the truth. The man is speaking the truth. He's given them over 1 million documents. He's opened up his entire administration to the special counsel. Now he's stonewalling them because they're just trying to redo the whole investigation over again to either get their wanted results or just muddy him up for the upcoming election. So later on in the day, actually, Trump had this to say. There was just some sniping back and forth. I believe after he kicked them out of the White House, said what he said in that clip I just played for you. They went back to Capitol Hill, and I mean, it's Chuck and Nancy. I could be wrong about that. Those two are always doing press conferences together. I can't keep track of them anymore. But basically, they started sniping at each other, and she started saying a bunch of dumb shit. Again, it's not important. Again, high school in wheelchairs. But as I'm sitting there, she was just talking shit, calling him unstable, petty things. And he really wasn't saying much in return until he had a meeting with a bunch of farmers in the Roosevelt Room, I think is what they call it. Anyway, here, I'll play you the clip.
Sort of a nasty type statement, but I will say this. She said I walked into the room right next door yesterday and walked in and started screaming and yelling. Just the opposite. Just the opposite. Because I know that they will always say that, even if it didn't happen, because this happened once before. I walked out. I was so calm. You all saw me minutes later.
So that was kind of the wrong clip because he was really just defending himself there. But he ended up going on to say that I can't remember what the hell he said. It's good, so much for my research here. But he basically ripped her. And here we have the Speaker of the House and the President of the United States engaging in a geriatric war of words through the press with each other. This shit is fun to watch, but good God, I'm sitting here thinking, do the Democrats really think the American people are this deranged with hatred and disgust? Well, they did nominate Clinton. Hey, Greg, see that old bag of red potatoes? Slap a new label on it, update its policy positions, claim it's a progressive, and those morons will have no clue. Do the Dems really think that stopping legislation is going to go in their favor in the long term? Maybe. Maybe not. But this reminds me of that episode in South Park, or the guy who pissed on the kid's memorial. It's a cripple fight that no one is going to win.
We're trying to get a feel for how people spend their day.
The staff reports.
And that's going to do it for us this week. We got a quick one for you. Under 25 minutes. Wow, I didn't think that was going to happen. Please like our new Ready Set Podcast Facebook page. Also, don't forget to subscribe to the podcast on Mixcloud, Spreaker, or YouTube. We're also on Apple Podcasts, so please check us out. Follow us on Twitter at Ready Set Podcast. That's Ready Set podcast, or email the podcast at readysetpodcast@gmail.com. I'm Joe Persinger. This is Ready Set Podcast. Thank you so much for tuning in, and we'll see you next week, you fucks. Thanks for listening to the Ready Set Podcast. Check us out next week, and don't forget to follow us on Twitter and look for us on our YouTube channel, Ready Set Podcast.